Today, we are going to discuss the novel Joseph Andrews by Henry Fielding. The novel opens with a scene of a 10-year-old boy named Joseph Andrews and his father and mother, Mrs. Andrews. He has a sister named Pamela. He was sent as an apprentice to Sir Thomas Booby's apartment when he was just 10 years old. Lady Booby, who is Thomas Booby's wife, she tries to seduce Joseph Andrews. After some incidents in the novel, later we can see the family consisting Sir Thomas Booby, Lady Booby, and Andrew Joseph shifts to London. But Joseph Andrews doesn't like his life there in London because he was from a village. He was a village boy. He couldn't accept the place easily. He was like a fish out of water at the time. During the time spent in London, Lady Booby's husband, Thomas Booby, passed away. And we know Lady Booby is pictured here as a lady who is erotic and extremely interested to have a sexual relation or a physical relation with Joseph Andrews. Lady Booby tempts him maximum, but Joseph Andrews does not yield to have such an affair with her. Consequently, he was thrown out. It was after a year, as we mentioned earlier, Sir Thomas dies, leaving his widow free to make attempts on the footman's virtue. Joseph fails to respond to her amorous hints. She wants to have a sexual affair with the middle-aged and hideous Mrs. Slipslop. We have already mentioned Mrs. Slipslop, a hideous and sexually voracious upper servant in the Booby's household. Like her mistress, she lusts after Joseph. Lady Booby sends for Joseph and tries again to beguile him, to no avail. His virtue infuriates her, so she sends him away again, resolves to terminate his employment. She was not ready to accept him as his employee. She was not ready to be an employer, especially for Andrews. She then suffers agonies of indecision over whether to retain Joseph or not. But eventually, Joseph Andrews receives his wages and his working papers from the miserly steward, Peter Pounds. Who is Peter Pounds? Lady Booby's miserly steward who lends money to other servants at a steep interest and gives himself airs as a member of the upwardly striving new capitalist class. The former footman is actually relieved to have been dismissed because he now believes his mistress to be both lustful and psychologically unhinged. Joseph sets out for Booby's country parish, where he will reunite with his childhood sweetheart and now fiancée, the illiterate milkmaid Fanny Goodwill, the beautiful but reserved beloved of Joseph Andrews, a milkmaid believed to be an orphan. On his first night out, he runs into two ruffians. On his journey, in the first night of his journey, he runs into two ruffians who beat, strip, and rob him and leave him in a ditch to die. Soon a stagecoach approaches, full of Hippocratic and self-interested passengers who only admit Joseph into the coach when a lawyer among them argues that they may be liable for Joseph's death if they make no effort to help him and he dies. The coach takes Joseph and the other passengers to an inn where the chambermaid Betty cares for him, and a surgeon pronounces his injuries likely mortal. Joseph defies the surgeon's prognosis the next day, receiving a visit from Mr. Barnabas, the clergyman, and some wretched hospitality from Mrs. Talvos, the wife of the innkeeper. Soon another clergyman arrives at the inn and it turns out to be Mr. Adams, who is on his way to London to attempt to publish several volumes of his sermons. Joseph is thrilled. He's interested to see him. And Adams treats his penniless protege to several meals. Adams is not flush with cash himself. However, and he soon finds himself trying unsuccessfully to get a loan from Mr. Talvos with a volume of his sermons as security. Later, Mr. Barnabas, hearing that Adams is a clergyman, introduces him to a bookseller who might agree to represent him in the London publishing trade. The bookseller is not interested in marketing sermons. However, and soon the fruitless discussion is interrupted by an uproar elsewhere in the inn, as Betty, the chambermaid, having been rejected by Joseph, and has just been discovered in bed with Mr. Talvos. Mr. Adams ends up getting a loan from a servant from a passing coach, and he and Joseph are about to part ways when he discovers that he has left his sermons at home and thus has no reason to go to London. Adams and Joseph decide to take turns riding Adams' horse on their journey home. And after a rocky start, they are well on their way, with Adams riding in a stagecoach and Joseph riding the horse. In the coach, Mr. Adams listens avidly to a gossipy tale about a jilted woman named Leonora. Leonora, the reclusive inhabitant of a grand house along the stagecoach road, a shallow woman who once jilted the hard-working Horatio for the frivolous Bellarmine and then was jilted in turn. So the coach, Mr. Adams listens him avidly to gossipy tale about a jilted woman named Leonora. At the next inn, he and Joseph get into a brawl with an insulting innkeeper and his wife. When they depart the inn with Joseph in the coach and Adams theoretically on horseback, the absent-minded Adams unfortunately forgets about the horse and ends up going on foot. On his solitary walk, Adams encounters a sportsman who is out shooting a partridge and who boasts of the great value he places on bravery. When the sound of a woman's cries reaches them, however, the sportsman flees with his gun, leaving Adams to rescue the woman from her assailant.